What good folks, it's Dark319 and welcome back to another What If, and I believe this is What If Naruto was a Sith Lord Part 3, so if you would like, comment, subscribe and share with your friends, but besides all that, enjoy the video. Chapter 6 Chunin Exam Finals. Naruto smiled, as he sensed the presence of another following him through the forest of death after he sent his two teammates back to their assigned hotel with the Kumo team, and stopped before turning around to wait for the person to reveal himself. The figure in question did just that, which was none other than Aburame Shino, who now seemed a bit nervous in a sense, and keeping a well-respected distance of him. It was most likely out of possible fear that Naruto would use his power on him and cause harm to the colony that resided within the Aburame's body. Greetings, Aburame Shino. I've been expecting you. How have you been since our match earlier? Said Naruto, as he saw Shino bow his head slightly in a small greeting, and yet still seemed shaken up from what he did. I am well, Namikaze-san. Though I did wish to respectfully speak to you about what you did in our match, said Shino, as he felt his bugs inside him worried about him doing this, and told the bug user to be cautious. Of course. From my understanding, all the members of the Aburame clan are rational, and an understanding group that deserves respect for what they can do. You said that you wished to speak to me about what happened in regards to our match? Said Naruto, as sat down on the grass, and motioned for Shino to do the same. Yes. I wish to know what it was you did to my allies in our match. Said Shino, as he saw Naruto give him a friendly smile from behind the crimson-black hood, and let out a small laugh. The power I wield is something older than this world itself. It's a cosmic energy like chakra, but different all the same, and is called the Force. It surrounds all living things, whether it be the trees, the rocks, animals, and even the very insects like the ones you have inside your body. When I used my power against you, I used it in a way that your insects would listen to me through that of simple suggestion, and they obeyed because they respectfully do not have a strong enough mind to resist such a persuasion when used with this power, said Naruto, as he saw Shino nod to that statement since most of his insects were drones, and were very simple-minded in that regard. This power you call the Force is very interesting, Namikaze-san. It almost sounds like something the Senju clan would possess in terms of their own connection to nature, said Shino, as he saw Naruto laugh further, and seemed to be acting a different manner than what he saw in the central tower. Similar, I'm sure, but different nonetheless, and is something this world has yet to truly witness, said Naruto, as he rose from the ground, and Shino did the same before the two shook hands. Thank you for talking with me about this, Namikaze-san, said Shino, as he respected the blonde now, and would be more cautious in confronting him in the future should they ever become enemies on the battlefield. Please, call me Naruto since formalities are not my thing. As for what I told you, I must ask that you not tell anyone about the Force, and even more so about this conversation since it will cause problems for the two of us. Knowing your counsels, they will accuse you of conversing with a possible enemy, and make problems for your clan, said Naruto, as he saw Shino raise an eyebrow at that, and seemed confused by the request. I see no logic in them doing such a thing, said Shino, since there was no logic making such false accusations. Just as there is no logic in punishing a child for the demon he carries, said Naruto, as he was referring to himself, and saw Shino stiffen slightly. Point taken, said Shino before he bowed again and left with Naruto to once more walk through the forest of death to bath in the mixture of force energy that resided here. Hokage Tower meeting room. A few days later, that brat shouldn't have advanced. We threw several high-level Jinan at him and he still walked away like it was nothing, said Homura, as he was infuriated by the fact Naruto survived the preliminaries, and that they knew little of his skills aside from that of using a sword. Regardless, Naruto did advance to the next stage, and there is nothing we can do to stop it, said the Sandaime, as he saw the Shinobi Council looking peeved at that, and knew they wanted the boy dead. I still say he needs to be punished for killing the Uchiha. Now the only one left with the Sharingan bloodline is Itachi, said a civilian council member, as news of Sasuke's death hit Konoha, and the people began weeping with a funeral service already planned within a few weeks before the Chunin exams. There were even rumors of a petition to the Hokage in naming the stadium after the fallen Uchiha. What happened in the Forest of Death was completely legal, and Uchiha Sasuke did sign the form before entering that region, knowing that there was a possibility the two would meet, said Aburame Shibi, as he had talked with his son about what happened during the prelims, and Shino told him that it was an enlightening experience. Regardless, the boy needs to be punished somehow, and within the legal realm of the Chunin exam rules, so the daimyo cannot punish us, said Koharu, as she saw Naruto to be a threat, and wanted the blonde to be eliminated. Such a thing is not possible, and to even suggest goes against the Fire Daimyo's orders. I don't need to remind everyone here the price the people have already paid at our feudal lord's hands prior to the Chunin exams, said Hiashi, as the fire daimyo had enforced his punishment on the leaf for their actions, and already several people had been publicly executed after being whipped mercilessly in front of their children after explaining why they were being punished. 2 of Sume's own cousins had been brutally destroyed before their own execution for hurting Naruto, and even their dogs were also killed just for good measure to be sure that the dogs themselves that lived in the clan knew that they were not above being punished. Our only chance now of removing Naruto is for him to die during the Chunin exam finals. Who is he facing? Said Danzo, as he saw Homura look at the current list, and scowling at it. Some Shinin from Kumo that killed one of the 3 sound shinobi that participated this year. If he beats him, the brat will face either Niyugito from Kumo, or the Kazekage's only daughter Sabaku no Tamari. His teammate known only as Starkiller will be facing the last Kumo shinobi, and Momochi Haku is facing off against Nara Shikamaru, said Homura, as he got a groan from everyone in the room, and glared at Nara Shikaku. Yeah, I know. Don't worry, my wife Yoshino is already taking care of it, said Shikaku, as he knew that his wife was going to handle his son's motivation, and make them both proud. Their boy kind of had to, since it made Shikaku look bad in terms of being a man, and his wife Yoshino would not let either of them hear the end of it with her frying pan. And my daughter is facing Rock Lee, who has the best advantage right now since no one aside from his team knows what he's capable of right now, and considering his sensei, I do not believe my daughter can win, said Hiashi, as he had been proud that Hinata had won against one of the Kazekage's children. But Rock Lee was different, and Neji had already told him that his teammate could endure power behind Gentle Fist. There was no telling how Hinata would fare. You should at least prepare her for the upcoming fight, Hiashi-san. Your daughter may not be what many in your clan consider a proper Hyuga, but her drive to get stronger is certainly there, and I think she would actually give Mito Guy's student quite a workout, said Inoiki, as he knew from what Ino told her at the school that Hinata trained hard, and saw that Hinata's skills in the prelims were pretty good too. We're getting off topic. How are we going to handle the QB brat? Said a fat civilian council member in charge of a third of the merchant district in the Leaf. Nothing. Just like we all should have done after the QB was sealed, and let things run their course, and having his mother raise him if not his godparent before you had her killed, Danzo, said the Sandaime, as he saw Danzo not looking the least bit remorseful, and just sneered back at the old cage. That woman was not from the Leaf. Kushina came from another country and seduced the Yondaime into having his bastard child, said Danzo, as felt only people born in the Leaf should live in the Leaf, and any who were not from here were considered second-class citizens. That doesn't matter. She was a valuable ally to the Leaf in the Third Shinobi War, and she should have been considered as such, said Shibi, as they all knew Kushina, and saw the woman to be quite the capable shinobi when things had to get serious. She was a red-haired whore from some weak country, who spread her legs, and crapped out a demon child, said the Haruno councilman, as he had always hated Kushina, and her damn husband the Yondaime. Enough. Do not make things any more worse than they already are. We are but a small breath away from being destroyed by the fire daimyo, and you want to bring about our death sooner by provoking the dragon that could make it possible by poking it right in the eye with a stick, said the Sandaime, as he could not believe that these fools would be so arrogant in doing this, and wished to destroy the village the Shodan founded. Then what do you suggest we do? Let the boy go and let it be done with. He must die, said Homura, as he had worked too hard to get into this position of power, and just lose it to this abomination of a boy. Yes. The Leaf has lost a great deal of standing with the elemental countries, our clients have dwindled dramatically, my last 2 students will not support us if Naruto wishes to get his revenge, and there are threats of alliances being destroyed to consider. If Konoha is to survive, we must play the hand we are dealt, and learn to adapt to the situation we are in, said the Sandaime, as he saw everyone looking fearful of the future, and he really couldn't blame them. The Sandaime was fearful too of the future. Soon 1 week later, Sogara lost. Is that what you are telling me, Baki? Said the Kazekage, as he was sitting behind the see-through curtain, and was clearly not pleased with that news. Yes, Kazekage-sama. Namikaze Naruto wielded incredible power against Gaara and was only spared because the Mist Shinon's teammates stopped him, said Baki, as he saw the Kazekage was now infuriated by this news, and looked ready to destroy anything that stood before him. And the other 2? Said the Kazekage, as he glared at Baki with narrowed eyes, and was now looking for another excuse to kill the Jounin before him. Your eldest son Kankuro also lost to the Hyuga heiress, but your daughter Tamari was victorious in her match, and will advance to the finals, said Baki, as he expected the still angry Kazekage to lash out, but surprisingly the man seemed to calm down, and then started to let out a small chuckle. So one of my children isn't a complete failure. Good. Then the invasion will go as planned with Gaara attacking from one side of the Leaf Village and Orochimaru-sama's forces will attack from the other. Did the snake summoning scrolls and ritual instructions arrive here like the Sannin promised they would? Said the Kazekage and saw Baki nod his head yes. The men are learning how to use them as we speak, said Baki with his head down. Good. Do inform Gaara of his part in our plan and tell him that if we do succeed in this invasion due to his assistance, I will officially declare him my son, said the Kazekage, as he knew the boy wanted to be accepted, and what better way to motivate the red-haired psycho than that? Yes Kazekage-sama, said Baki, as he left the room, and entered another few corridors down to see the three siblings. Is it him? Said Kankuro before he saw Baki shake his head no. No. It is not your father. I've served the real Kazekage long enough that he would never call Gaara his son no matter what he did, said Baki, as he looked at Gaara, and saw the angry look on the boy's face. That can only mean one thing, said Tamari, as she saw Baki nod, and knew what it meant for them if not all of Suna. An imposter had taken the real Kazekage's place. How do we proceed? Said Gaara, as he was now tempted to go into that room with the imposter, and unleash his sand upon the man. Nothing. At least not now. We make the fake Kazekage believe we are none the wiser, but the day of the invasion, we tell everyone, and abandon the plan that was created. The reason behind it is practically non-existent right now due to the last Namikaze coming back into the spotlight. When this is over, the Leaf will either be dead, or dying from the attack Orochimaru is going to unleash with his own sound forces, said Baki as they were slowly but surely gaining clients that the Leaf normally got, and the Wind Daimyo was now arguing with the Fire Daimyo about not keeping an eye on his shinobi village. What about Namikaze Naruto and the Mist Village? I think we should have an alliance with them, said Gaara, as he would rather not be on hostile terms with Naruto, and face the kind of power again the blonde showed. We will arrange something after the invasion is over and the smoke clears, Gaara. Until then, we must play the blind servants of a false Kazekage, and wait for the right moment to reveal our true selves, said Baki, as he too wished to be an ally of Naruto, then be against him, and that strange power that made Gaara face one of his darkest demons. Figuratively speaking, that is. Mizukage Tower at the moment, how's the job? Said May, as she walked in, and thought she was seeing double when she saw one Zabuza doing paperwork while another one sat back, reading a certain perverted orange book that women hate. Good. Naruto told me how to use shadow clones and revealed they can be used to do paperwork. Not only that, but doing it every day will boost my chakra reserves, and make my life a little bit easier, said Zabuza, as he saw the shadow clone glaring at him every few seconds, and then do the mountain of paperwork on the desk. Shadow clones. That's a leaf-only jutsu. How did Naruto-kun learn that? Said May, as she ignored the orange book in front of her, and focused on Zabuza for the moment. Back in Wave Country when Naruto encountered Hatake Kakashi, he used that freaky power of his to dive into the leaf Jounin's head, and copy down all the jutsus there. It just so happens that one of them was the shadow clone jutsu, and whatever the shadow clone knows before it's dispelled will be transferred back to the original, said Zabuza, as he saw May nod in understanding, and then soon felt a cold chill run up his spine with May looking at him with dramatic angry eyes. Okay. Now that question is settled, why are you reading that book? You have a hot woman in front you and yet you are reading that stupid orange book, yelled May, as she was now ready to deliver some female justice, and make Zabuza know that ignoring a hot girl for some perverted smut is very unwise. Oh crap, thought Zabuza before looking at his shadow clone, who was current smiling behind his bandages, and was now enjoying doing paperwork while the real Zabuza now being beaten to a bloody pulp. Am I interrupting anything? Said Naruto, as he appeared in front of the two via the window, and saw May bending Zabuza's arm at an odd angle. No, and how did you get here? Said May, as she didn't free a still in pain Zabuza, and ignoring his pleas to let him go. Shadow clones. The original is still back in the leaf. Just thought I'd let you know that my team is in the Chunin exam finals, which means Zabuza has to attend to see us all compete like we planned, and the Raikage will be joining us too, said the shadow clone of Naruto, who saw May jumping up and down with joy at the good news. She also was jumping up and down on Zabuza's spine. That's wonderful, Naruto-kun. Zabuza should be out of the hospital just in time to attend the finals, said May, as she let go of the crumpled form of Zabuza, and hugged the poor shadow clone in a strong grip while smothering him with her breasts. Can't breathe, thought the Naruto shadow clone before it went poof and leaving May with nothing. Damn. I pressed too hard. Oh well, I make sure to careful when the real Naruto-kun is in my arms, and I give him a well-deserved reward for a job well done. As for you Zabuza, I think we better take you to the hospital, and make sure you're all better for the Chunin exam finals, said May, as she grabbed Zabuza's good arm, and began dragging him to the hospital. Konoha Hospital. 2 days later, Tsuchi-kin was restrained on her hospital bed, as she was to be interrogated by Ibiki shortly after waking up, and then Inoiki would dive into her head to make sure they got all the information in it after that little number to her head during the prelims. Outside of her room were 2 Onbu guards, who went tense when a figure appeared before them, and then they went slack with a wave of the figure's hand mixed with a few suggestive words. When the door opened, the figure silently entered before shutting the door, and walked over to the hospital bed of a still unconscious Kin was on. After reading her charts, the figure smiled at the information that was on it, and was very pleased to know they had not started the interrogation yet, and left the girl ready to be molded to his design. Putting the chart down, the figure walked over to Kin's face, and placed his hand on the side of her head that made the girl's body stiffen slightly from the contact before her eyes slowly opened with a glazed look to them. "Tsuchi-kin, can you hear me?" said figure in a soothing voice, as he smiled at the girl's awakening with a simple command of his power, and how she was completely bendable to his will. "Yes, master," said Kin, as she felt the powerful presence connect with her mind, and while part of the girl told her to resist, she had little to no strength to do so. Good. Kin-chan, I need you to get dressed in the clothes I give you, and sneak out of the Leaf Village before heading to Mist. You are to report to Momochi Zabuza and tell him all that you know about Orochimaru's invasion plans for the Leaf. Afterwards, tell him that you are my loyal servant to the Namikaze clan, and that you wish to live in my clan home Mist, said Naruto, as he saw Kin nod her head slightly, and knew the girl was now within his power, forever. Yes, my master, said Kin, as she felt her head injury go away, and a new desire to serve the blonde-haired boy roughly her age any way he saw fit. Rise, said Naruto, as he removed his hand from her head, then freed her from all the restraints that held her down, and saw Kin obey before handing the girl a scroll that was filled with clothing given to him by one, slightly ticked, Haku. Thank you, my master, said Kin, as she got out of the bed, and got dressed while not even caring that she stripped herself of what little she had in front of Naruto to get fully dressed in what he gave her. Planning on making her more than just a servant, my vessel, said Kyubi, as it saw Naruto was not looking away, and was admiring the girl's figure. Perhaps. Not now, but maybe later, thought Naruto, as he waited until Kin got dressed, and gave her facial bandages to cover her face. Seeing he could do no more, Naruto used the force to open the window, and left via the door while Kin left through the other. Reikage Tower. At the moment, this scroll just came for you, Reikage-sama. It's from Yugito's team in Konoha, said a Kumo Chonin, as he came into the man's office, and handed it to the Reikage. Well, don't just stand there. Give me the damn thing, said the Reikage, as he took the scroll, and read it before his eyes widened at the contents within it. What does it say, Reikage-sama? Said the Chonin, as he knew anything from Yugito was important, and with the man's facial expression you could tell it was. Get me every Jounin and Onbu that can be summoned in the village here right now. Also, get me Killer Bee too, and tell my little brother I'll kick his ass so hard he'll speak normally if he doesn't obey, said the Reikage, as he saw the Chonin nod his head, and ran off to do his assigned mission. If this information was correct, not to mention the plan Yugito had been given by Naruto on how to invade the Leaf, then it wouldn't be long before they had a Hyuga here in the Kumo, and they would have a powerful bloodline to call their own. Hey there, E. You asked for the one and only Killer Bee? Said Killer Bee, as he saw his brother glare at him for his poor rhyming, and the tick mark that indicated that bad habit of his wasn't liked. I need you to be ready within a month to defend Kumo while our forces along with Mist invade Konoha, said the Reikage, as he saw Killer Bee look at him with surprise, and it was not without reason since the last time had been nearly solid decade ago. Back when Kumo had screwed up the kidnapping of the Hyuga clans only, at the time, daughter nearly went to war unless they got Hyuga Hyashi's body in compensation for it. Of course, the secondary plan didn't work out so well, but it did prevent a war, and that was good enough for the Lightning Daimyo since he had pushed for it with the threat of losing funding if the Reikage didn't. So we're invading the Leaf to take away their beef, and you need Killer Bee just in case our forces need to flee, said Killer Bee, who saw the tick mark on his big brother go, and was ready to beat the crap out of him. Yes, we are. The Namikaze practically guaranteed us at least one Hyuga to help set up our breeding program and establish a Hyuga clan here in Kumo, said the Reikage, as he saw Killer Bee's eyes widen in shock, and knew that a guarantee from a Namikaze was something you could invest in. Okay bro, I'll just go, said Killer Bee, as he saw his brother getting increasingly upset with his way of speaking, and ready to throw a mountain at him. Literally. Konoha streets. 3 days later, Naruto walked through the place that was his home for 6 years before he was taken and introduced to the vast ocean of the galaxy he lived in. As he walked, Naruto sensed the ever-growing stench of fear the people now had in crossing him, and knew this was what it must be like to be Darth Vader when he walked along the bridge of a Star Destroyer with the crew being fearful of their death at his hands. Still, there were some people that were more angry than fearful of him, and sensed they still wished to kill him if only to do the world a favor in removing him from it before their own death. Such fools would no doubt strike out at a later time, as they always do, and when that happened, Naruto was going to make them regret it. "You can reveal yourself to me now, Jiraiya the Toad Sannin," said Naruto, as he had felt the man's chakra signature, and turned around to see the man make his appearance. Around them, people watched with anticipation, and some hoping the Sannin would kill Naruto to prove his loyalty to the leaf. "Hey Gaki. Can we talk in private?" said Jiraiya, as he felt those blue eyes now piercing his very soul, and made him a bit uncomfortable at the moment. "Sure. We have much to discuss, my godfather," said Naruto, as he heard people gasp, and Sannin before him nod in understanding. "Follow me. Tsunade-han wants to see you too," said Jiraiya, as he leapt onto a nearby roof, and Naruto did the same with the Sannin leading the way. When they stopped, it was in the middle of a clearing where Tsunade and her assistant Shizune were waiting for them. Sensing through the force that there was nothing aimed at hurting him, and Naruto walked towards Tsunade, and saw that his two godparents were genuinely happy to see him after all this time. "Hi Naruto-kun. How have you been?" said Tsunade, as she saw him take off his crimson hood, and show a face long since removed of baby fat. "Good. The things I've seen would probably freak you out, but I've been good, and I've had an even better life living in Mist than I would here. If you ever want to live in Mist, I know the Mizukage could give you a good deal on a house there, and help you set up your own medic program there," said Naruto, as he knew Tsunade wanted to have at least one member of Shinobi team be a medic nin to keep fatalities down, and survival rates up. Of course the two councils on the leaf had used their influence on the old Sun Daime to shoot it down, saying it was too expensive and real shinobi can endure the battles they face before throwing the program on the shelf to collect dust. Tempting, but not right now. "The only thing I want is to hug my godson, and let him know that he would have been loved by me," said Tsunade, as she walked over to Naruto, and gave him a hug that a parent would give their child. "Luck brat," thought Jiraiya, as he would kill the Tsuchikage to get a hug from Tsunade, and not be fearful of getting his oh-so-precious manhood crushed by a well-placed super-strength-enhanced kick there. "Thank you, my godmother," said Naruto, as he felt the love the woman held for him, the pain she felt in knowing they had all been betrayed by Konoha, and wished things had been different for the two of them since the Kyuubi first attacked. "Okay. Now that it's finally settled, you Naruto have less than a full month to get ready for the Chunin exam finals, and I think it's only right that we being your loving godparents help train you in what we know," said Jiraiya, as he has missed over a decade worth of time in being with his godson, and was going to make it up to the boy. "Depends what it is you tend to teach me, Uro-sennin," said Naruto, as he read the Toad Sannin's mind, and saw how his old man called Jiraiya that. "Hey. Just because I peep on women for research, doesn't make me a bad person," said Jiraiya, as he was shocked that Naruto called him that, but in all honesty, the Toad Sannin did miss being called that, and was going to let it slide, for now. "Yes it is, you stupid pervert," said Tsunade, as she got in his face ready to pound him to the ground, and give him a taste of her right hook. "Says you flat chest," said Jiraiya, as he glared back with equally comedic looking angry eyes. "What did you just call me?" said Tsunade, as he had her hand cocked back, and Jiraiya was ready to turn his hair into needles. "Could you two stop for just an entire second?" said Naruto, as he saw his godparents looking at him, and he smiled at the comedic angry faces they made now directed at him. "Why?" said both Sannin before they saw Naruto make a time as being wasted motion with his hands with the right pointing to his wrist like it had a watch on it. "You're wasting time arguing when you could help train me instead," said Naruto, as he saw the two look at each other, and then grin sheepishly at their immature actions. "Sorry," said the two before all three of them had a good laugh and began to work out a training schedule to train the young Namikaze. Jiraiya wanted Naruto to learn summoning, sealing, and at very least one of two signature jutsus that Minato could do, that was the Rasengan. Tsunade wanted Naruto to learn how to use medical jutsus and learn more about the human body in terms of how to heal it. For Naruto, the training with Jiraiya was not a problem, but with Tsunade's teachings, he had one request, and it was for the Slug Sannin to teach his female teammate Haku, since she was a skilled medic in her own right when it came to healing. Tsunade agreed, since it was clear the girl had potential in being a medic from what her godson told her about Haku's knowledge of plants that help heal others. Naruto also asked Tsunade to give Kimimaro a checkup, since he had used his power with Kyuubi's chakra to purge a lung disease from the albino's body, and felt Tsunade giving him one would be in the Kaguya's best interest. So while Jiraiya taught Naruto, The blonde's two teammates went with Tsunade, and thus began a new way of training for the Chunin exams. Chunin Exam Stadium day of the exams today was a very big day for the Leaf, as the Chunin exam finals had come, and all the people plus various clients from all over the elemental countries were there. Though if the clients were honest with themselves, they were only here to see the shinobi of Kumo, Mist, and Suna compete to see if they were skilled like the rumors said. As for the Leaf shinobi, who were participating today, they felt a bit deflated if you will due to the fact that there were not the vast majority of young Chunin potentials here today, and it was clear to the people in the Leaf watching things here today. Even more so with Uchiha Sasuke, as well as the rest of Team 7 now dead, and Hatake Kakashi being rarely seen by anyone in the Leaf. Those that did see the son of the White Fang only saw a broken shell of a man, and the guilt of losing his students, mostly Sasuke, during the Chunin exams weighed heavily on his mind. Even more so when it was rumored the Jounin had crossed paths with Team 7's killer, Namikaze Naruto, the demon's hand now currently residing within the mist, and had a simple conversation. Flashback 1 week ago, "You shouldn't be here, Naruto," said Kakashi, as he was at the memorial stone looking at the names of his most precious of people written on it, and the most recent group that had been added that was his Jounin team. Funny. Many said that to me when I was younger, only they used such colorful words like demon, monster, and QB brat to name a few. Though considering my father's name is on this stone, I think I have a right to be here, and miss him just like everybody else, said Naruto, as he saw the Jounin's head turn slightly to face him, and had a dark look in the one normal eye. "You have no right to call him your father. You betrayed him," said Kakashi, as he saw Naruto now laughing at him, and made the Jounin feel an even greater sense of anger. "I betrayed my father? That is your lame excuse. How exactly could I betray my own father?" said Naruto in a mocking fashion while Kakashi balled his fists up. "You left the village. You caused it pain. You hold the," said Kakashi, but he didn't finish that last part, and sensed Naruto's smile grow further. "Kyubi? Is that the word you wish to say in that last part? Just because I hold the demon inside of me, which by the way my father did to me, doesn't mean I betrayed him, and if anything he betrayed me for doing it. As for leaving the village, why should I stay in a place that hates me more than it does Iwa? Why stay in a place where they beat, stab, and burn a child for holding something he had no say in? Which brings me to last part in me causing the village pain. My answer to that is, I was just returning the favor to the Leaf for the first 6 years of my life, and making them know that I was not going to take their abuse lying down. Besides, if anyone betrayed my father, it was you and the rest of the village, since honoring his dying wish seems beyond your capabilities," said Naruto, as he saw Kakashi turn to face him with a masked face full of anger, and knew the man wanted to rush towards him with a reikiri to the heart. "Your father was a great man. How you can be his son speaking like that, I will never know, and maybe I don't want to know," said Kakashi, as he sees Naruto grinning further, and sees the sharp teeth like a fox's sticking out. "I got one better. How you can be my father's student speaking like you are to his only son, I will never understand, and I know for a fact, my father would be ashamed of you. Maybe that's why he liked being in company of your Uchiha friend, who did a very noble thing in giving his life for you, even if it was not a well-placed investment, and got this in the near future. What was his name? Alto? Volto? Obito? Obito. That's it. That is the name of my father's real student. The one that should have lived after the Third Shinobi War and was considered closer to my father than you ever could be," said Naruto, as he saw Kakashi's real eye widen and then narrow in anger before preparing to charge at him with a reikiri. "Damn you," said Kakashi, as he created the reikiri, and was about to charge when a pair of hands grabbed him from the ground before pulling him deep into the earth until only the head remained. "Shadow clones. You've just got to love them. Oh, one more thing, Kakashi, the Reikage wanted me to tell you the reikiri is a lovely lightning jutsu, and is happy that you have contributed your fair share of lightning jutsus to him," said Naruto, as he walked off to leave an angry Kakashi screaming out curses, and calling the blonde names that were all ignored no matter how hard the Jounin tried to infuriate his sensei's son. Nothing the Jounin shouted had the power to anger the last Namikaze. End flashback. "You all know the plan?" said Naruto whispered to his Kumo allies, who nodded their heads, and saw Tamari looking a bit nervous. Of course, Tamari had every right to be nervous after she found out a few hours ago that Mist and Kumo were planning an invasion that would cripple if not take down the Leaf while the Konoha shinobi fought the forces of sound. Tamari was worried when Naruto told her about the plan, as it meant that she could be considered a risk, and be removed from the equation altogether should the Namikaze wish it. However, Naruto had simply told Tamari that such an action against her was not the case, and when the invasion happened that all the allied forces attacking the Leaf were not to engage the eldest of the Kazekage's siblings unless she attacked them. When asked by Temari on why he was doing this, Naruto simply smiled, and told her that her destiny lied elsewhere outside of Konoha. Of course, to make it seem like nothing was going on with Suna helping either allied force, Temari would have to fight Ni Yugito to her fullest potential, and not worry about the end result. Time for the first exam to start. Will Osmosis Omoi and Namikaze Naruto prepare for battle while the rest of the competitors head towards the fighter's box, said Genma, as he saw many in the crowd scowling at Naruto, and only the clients looking on in interest at the blonde. Are you ready, Namikaze Naruto? Said Omoi, as he drew his two swords while he now waited for Naruto to remove his crimson black robes before calling to his hand a long cylinder-type object that he brought in front of his person horizontally before revealing two crimson blades coming out of either end of the cylinder. You will have to forgive me if I remove one of your limbs, as these blades will do just that, and cripple your body beyond repair, said Naruto, as he sensed the shock of the people in the stand seeing this weapon, and the Sandaime watching in the cage booth with the Raikage along with Orochimaru disguised as the Kazekage also shocked to see such a item. Ready? Fight, said Genma, as he leapt back to see Omoi charge forward, and Naruto moved gracefully with his weapon before slicing the metal swords to pieces that was then followed up with an acrobatic motion that ended in a leaning down stance with his weapon at the ready. My swords, said Omoi in shock, as he Naruto smirk at him, and make a come at me hand motion. I told you, this weapon in my hands will cut through your flesh, and it will do so like it did the metal that made up your swords. I would rather not slay you since you are an ally of the mist, and I will give you this one chance to surrender, before I return you back to Kumo in pieces, said Naruto, as he saw Omoi shake his head no, and go through hand signs. Lightning style, electromagnetic murder, said Omoi, as he sent the lightning jutsu on Naruto, who raised his free hand, and mimicking what he saw in one of the few rare Jedi holocrons the Emperor had in his possession on Bis before using the Force to absorb the lightning into his outstretched appendage. Though it wasn't easy to do. Damn. I can't do that again. At least not without practice at a later time. Though seeing the surprise on Omoi's face at what I just did with his lightning jutsu, I doubt he will do that again, and be more cautious. After all, we have a crowd to entertain, thought Naruto with smile on his face. How did you do that? Said Omoi, as he didn't know the blonde could absorb lightning like that, and was indeed hesitant to do that again. Sorry. Trade secret. However, it would be rude to not return the favor with a lightning attack of my own, said Naruto, as he shot out Sith lightning at Omoi, who got hit with the blast, and sent flying into the air before hitting the ground unconscious. Winner, Namikaze Naruto, said Genma, as he was shocked at what he saw, and a bit unnerved that the spiky blonde-haired boy had absorbed lightning before shooting it out of his hand. Recalling his robe back to his person, Naruto used the Force to levitate Omoi over to the medial station where Tsunade began to heal the Kumo shinobi, and make sure he was back to being 100%. Do you have a problem in knowing what we plan to do, Tsunade-san? Said Naruto, as he heard Temari's, and Yugito's name being called. I must admit, I do feel some conflict within me, but then I think back to how the people have betrayed you, Minato, Kushina, and the entire Senju clan all the way down to my grandfather the Shodan Hokage. I just don't care anymore for the Leaf, said Tsunade, as she had been told along with Jiraiya about the invasion, and told them not to help the Leaf at all. At first, Tsunade had felt the urge to try stopping Naruto, as did Jiraiya since this village was their home, but it all stopped when the blonde used the Force to project his life in the village while growing up in it, and they instantly changed their minds. Of course, the two Sannin made a request to protect the innocent people in the Leaf that were not guilty of crimes against him, and Naruto had agreed since he wasn't about to be a cruel person like so many had claimed him to be. Naruto was brought out of his musing when he heard Ni Yugito become the winner, as he turned to see the blonde from Kumo was covered in the Nibi's chakra, and ready to slay the Kazekage's eldest before stopping at the last moment. Seeing Temari was also in need of medical attention, Naruto used the Force to float her over to the medical station, and place her down on a temporary bed with Yugito following since she needed a small medical patch job too. Not to mention some new clothes since the ones she had on were pretty badly torn. Will Starkiller and Kasukaru please come to the arena floor for their match, said Genma, as he saw both competitors leap out of the box, and onto the arena floor at the same time. Kimimaro, there is no need to hold back in this fight. It's time to show everyone what you can do, said Naruto through the Force and saw Kimimaro nod his head once in understanding. Yes, Naruto-sama, thought Kimimaro, as he drew his bone sword with ivory hilt, and then to everyone's shock that didn't know he was a Kaguya made pointed bone fragments come out of his left arm. Your arm. There is only one clan that can do what you just did, but it's been said they were killed when they attacked the mist, and were crushed shortly after, said Karo, as she readied herself for battle with her swords, and hoped the months she spent training had paid off. I am the last of the clan. My real name is not Starkiller of the Mist, but rather my name is Kaguya Kimimaro of the Mist, said Kimimaro, as he sensed killer intent from the stand where Orochimaru was currently glaring at him for his betrayal, and smirked with a strange sense of satisfaction. A rare bloodline limit indeed. I must have him for my root program and to breed my own line of Kaguya warriors, thought Danzo, as he was watching the whole event from his shadowy position in the stands. Ready? Fight, said Genma, as he saw this was going to get pretty nasty, and saw the two charge each other before engaging in a all-out close combat duel that looked to be to the death. The battle was, for the lack of a better word, was beautiful, as the two shinobi fought in what many would have thought was a strange exotic dance, as they matched the other move for move, and focusing on nothing else except the foe before them. For Kimimaro, it had been a long time since anyone had matched him in such a manner of combat, and for some reason felt his heart pulse a bit quicker than what he would normally feel when fighting. As for Karu, she was in her own world, and felt her own heart pumping at an excited rate that was beyond normal adrenaline-made actions. When the two deadlocked for what would be the final time in this fight, they broke apart when neither would give in to the other in terms of strength, and looked at each other with strong unflinching eyes that told the other they were no stranger to pain. Each shinobi had a look in their eyes that told the other they were ready for anything that was thrown at them by their opponent, and moved at the same time with blazing speed with the intent of being the victor of this match. A flash of metal, the clanging echo that rang from steel hitting bone, and the silence that came soon afterwards with each shinobi having their backs to the other. No one breathed, as they waited to see just who among the two combatants would fall, and just who would be declared the winner of the fight. Blood soon came out of Kimimaro's torso, as had been cut diagonally by Karo's sword, but he did not fall to his knees despite the pain, and willed himself to stand proud. As for Karu herself, she was cut deeply with a horizontal slash to her stomach, and she too was enduring the pain not to fall. Slowly turning, they each saw the other's wounds, and each gave a salute with their blades, not unlike what Naruto did at the prelims before facing Tenten. Still, it was clear that these two deeply respected one another, and had to finally use their swords to support them before their strength fully gave out. The match is a draw. Neither competitor can fight, said Genma, as he saw neither could go on fighting, though it wasn't like they didn't try, and aggravate their injuries further. That's enough from both of you. Do not let your pride destroy your spirit, said Naruto, as he appeared before both shinobi, and saw them look at him for a second before each gave a nod to his reasoning. With that settled, Naruto took them to the medical station where Tsunade went to work on healing Kimimaro while Shizune healed Kuro of their injuries. The next match will be Nara Shikamaru and Momochi Haku, said Genma, as he saw the look hesitation from Shikamaru in going down there and get his butt kicked by Haku. Great. I knew it would to come to this. Well, I might as well give up and take my ever-inevitable beating at the hands of my mom, thought Shikamaru, as he was about to raise his hand, and give up when a sudden pull from an invisible presence grabbed him before it threw him off the balcony onto the stadium floor. Not the most graceful way of making someone participate, but it worked, and that's what matters, thought Naruto with a smirk on his face, as he knew Shikamaru would try to give up when facing a girl, and since this was Haku the Nara was facing, the boy should have had a white flag with the words "I give up" written on it. Sadly for the Nara, he didn't have one, and now he had to pay. Okay. It's official. Kami is definitely a woman and she hates me, thought Shikamaru, as he got off the ground, and cracked his neck before seeing Haku standing there waiting for him to move closer so the ref could signal the start of the fight. Go Haku. I've got 500 Rio, says you kick the Nara's lazy ass. Zabuza, as he saw the three other Kages looking at him in shock, and he glared at them that basically dared them to question his parenting skills in betting on his adopted daughter to win. It would only be bad parenting skills if he bet against her. Oh yeah. Like I didn't need that bringing me down, thought Shikamaru, as he saw the senbone needles in Haku's hands appear, and mentally clenched his ass since he had a distinct feeling that it was about to become a pincushion. Ready? Fight, said Genma, as he knew just who would win this fight, and almost felt sorry for the Nara. Acting quickly, Haku threw a barrage of senbone needles at Shikamaru, which resulted in the lazy Nara dodging the attacks, and soon it turned into a weird mating dance of sorts with Nara air dodging the attacks using awkward positions. It was actually funny from the stands, as the client saw Haku make a mockery of the Nara clan, and Konoha in general, much to the annoyance of said people in the leaf. Time to end this silly dance. 1,000 flying needles of death, said Haku, as she summoned 1,000 ice needles from the moisture in the air, and with a simple stomp of her sandaled foot the needles came down upon the Nara with vicious precision. When it was over, Shikamaru was covered head to toe with needles, and collapsed face first on the ground after simply saying ow. In a boring voice in an almost comedic-like fashion. Winner by knockout, Momochi Haku, said Genma, as he saw many people in stands from the Leaf now booing Haku for winning against the Nara, and Shikamaru himself for losing in such a pathetic manner. Of course, he would have lost anyway since he hadn't trained the entire month, with the exception being that of playing mental games, and his mom hitting him with a frying pan every day to get him to outside to train. Maybe that was why the attack Haku hit him with felt so pleasant when compared to his mother's frying pan. Walking over to Naruto, who was still at the medical station, Haku removed her mask so the blonde could see the proud look that now showed on her face, and without even a word being spoken she grabbed the slightly younger boy before giving him a passionate kiss with tongue. Haku didn't care that Tsunade, Shizune, and everyone in the station saw her kissing Naruto, since there was an invasion happening soon with the chance of one of them dying. Though Naruto said otherwise, the fact he at one point mentioned the future always being in motion was not something to overlook, and was going to let the blonde know exactly what she felt for him in terms of their relationship. It wasn't like she didn't try. Haku had tried so hard to tell, express, and basically scream out how she felt about Naruto to him after his arrival in Mist leading up to the Chunin exam finals. Haku knew that Naruto knew of her feelings, but she also knew that he wanted her to speak out, and say them willingly without fear. And as we all know, actions speak louder than words. I take it that was not just a good luck kiss, said Naruto after the two finally parted their connected mouths, with Haku breathing heavily while he regulated his breathing using the force. When this is over, we have much to talk about, and we're not going to have any kind of interruptions, said Haku, as she gave him a don't fight me on this look, and saw him smile at her before nodding in understanding. I wouldn't have it any other way, said Naruto, as he along with Haku heard a hissing sound behind him, and saw Yugito looking feral at this moment. I wanted Naruto-kun. He's mine, said Yugito, as she wasn't going to let this girl steal her mate, and was going to fight for the prize that was her alpha. No, he's mine, said Haku, as she drew senbone needles to her hands, and Yugito once more had Nibi's fire surrounding her. That's enough from both of you. Since I am the last of the Namikaze clan, I am allowed to have multiple wives, but before I consider marriage, I would like to get to know you both better, and see how things go from there. Agreed? Said Naruto, as he didn't want these two fighting in such a reckless fashion, and the two reluctantly nodded their heads. Though they still glared at each other with the words "he's mine" in their heads, with looks of promise to knock the other off the path to being with the last Namikaze. Now for the last semifinal match. Hyuga Hinata vs Rock Lee, said Genma, as he saw Lee leap down, and Hinata shortly joined her opponent on the arena floor. Even though we are opponents, Lady Hyuga, I wish you the best of luck in our match, and hope you prove to be a worthy adversary like your cousin on my team, said Lee, as he got into his taijutsu stance while Hinata got into her gentle fist stance, and prepared for battle. In the stands, Neji smirked at the sight of his cousin trying to put up a strong front, but deep down he knew that she was no match for Lee, since Lee was no match for him, and thus was bound to lose to the spandex boy. For Neji, it would be an excuse to have the Hyuga elders brand the girl with the cage bird seal, and make his pain her own, so she understood the humiliation of being a slave in all but name in their clan. Soon Hinata-sama, my rank will be shared by you, and share the pain of being labeled as a second class amongst our so-called family, thought Neji, as he watched with Tenten and Guy with the fight about to start. Fear not, Hinata-chan, for I have faith in you and know that you will do your best, said Naruto through the force to Hinata, who was shocked at hearing Blonde's voice in her head, and wondered if she was hallucinating somehow. Naruto-kun? Thought Hinata, as she somehow felt his presence near her own and felt the courage to fight all out against Lee. We will talk later, Hinata-chan. Now is the time to prove to me just how strong you are, said Naruto, as he saw her from the medical station, and how Hinata's gentle fist posture strengthened significantly with an even greater determination. Naruto-kun, did you use your power to help the Hyuga girl? Said Haku, as she saw the intense look Naruto had for a moment that was directed at Hinata, and then noticed the change in posture. Not in the way you're thinking. There is an old technique in using the force called battle meditation, but it's extremely difficult to do, even by a master of the force, which I can assure you I am not quite yet, and simply gave Hinata-chan some additional confidence by letting her hear my voice, said Naruto, as he had been experimenting with battle meditation back in Mist, but never got it down since it took a lot out of him, and knew it would be unfair to do it for Hinata in this fight too. The girl needed to prove she could hold her own in a fight without that kind of support. Ready? Fight, said Genma, as he saw Lee dash forward with incredible speed, and Hinata moving with agile grace to dodge the attack. Unlike with Shikamaru when he fought Haku in his match, Hinata's moves were graceful, and used her gentle fist in a way that defied the traditional straight-line Hyuga way of fighting. It was a secret she learned when training by herself away from the prying eyes of others like the rest of her clan, who would all frown upon this style, and ban its use while stating it was a perverse version of the traditional style. While that was her defense, Hinata used her gentle fist taijutsu with the Byakugan for the offense, and struck Lee hard in the ribs, though unlike normal gentle fist requirements she did not send chakra through her palm so it didn't cripple the spandex boy. Lee skidded back, holding his ribs for a second before he realized that Hinata had not hit him using the brutality behind the gentle fist taijutsu, and remembered what Neji once told him about his cousin. It had been right before the Chunin exams with Lee's team wishing him luck, which Tenten did with her telling him to fight Naruto, and kick the blonde Baka's ass so hard to missed his ass bleeds for a month before she blushed at her choice of words. As for Neji, he told Lee that Hinata did not have the proper discipline of a real Hyuga, and would not use the gentle fist properly to defeat him, so fate would declare him the winner. Though deep down, Lee knew that was not the case, as Hinata's graceful counters to his taijutsu, and strike that could have won her the match in a single moment been any real indication. Pushing that fact aside, Lee still continued on, as he fought the young Hyuga heiress, and found her not so easy to defeat like Neji made her out to be. Part of him wished to use the some of his more secret weapons among his taijutsu arsenal, but Guy had told him to hold off on that until facing Naruto if, Kami willing, he beat Hinata in his match, and see if the blonde could withstand such a onslaught. Hinata, however, seemed to be determined to stop Lee from advancing to the next round, and pushed back the green spandex boy once more with her gentle fist sans the chakra in the open palm that hit his body again in the shoulder. Lee frowned a bit knowing that this was twice now that Hinata could have defeated, or injured him should she used an all-out gentle fist palm thrust. "Proctor, I surrender," said Lee calmly, as he saw the shock in the Proctor's, Hinata's, and everyone else's eyes at his statement. "Care to explain why?" said Genma, as he had thought that Lee had some remote chance of winning even if it was against a Hyuga, and wondered why the boy gave up. "Twice already, my opponent had hit me twice with hits that could have defeated, or led to my defeat in the near future, while I have not landed a single deceived blow that would equal to hers," said Lee, as he was not about to remove his weights, or use several other secrets Guy taught him against a girl younger than him. "Very well. Winner of the match is Hyuga Hinata," said Genma, as he saw many people had a mixed reaction to this, and yet he was proud of the boy for knowing when he was beat. Lee was holding back, said Haku, as she saw Naruto nod, and yet it didn't seem to stop him from staring at the now blushing Hyuga looking back at her boy. Yes, but so did Hinata. Even if Lee's advantage was greater than Hinata's, his honor that defines him would not permit the use of such things upon his opponent, and was indeed correct about those 2 hits she landed on his body. Hinata could have won the match right away, but would have crippled Lee and sent him to the hospital broken beyond that of his physical appearance. Lee knew this, but continued on in hopes he could match her, and was hit again with another attack meant to cripple him if it had chakra to back it up. "I must admit, it would have been close, even with my insight using the force. It could have gone either way, and neither future was really determined at this point," said Naruto, as he knew Lee had a chance to win if he kept going. But so did Hinata with her own tricks yet to be revealed, and saw multiple outcomes. "It is a shame the Chunin exams is about to be crashed. They would have easily been promoted after this whole thing was over," said Yugito, as she was looking at the Hyuga girl with interest, but then saw Naruto shaking his head at her, and indicating that was not the Hyuga he promised the Raikage. "The one your team is going to take is in the stands with his team. He's a branch member, but a prodigy nonetheless, and I can disable the seal on his forehead so you don't have to worry about Kumo being screwed because of it," said Naruto, as he knew that it wasn't exactly what the Raikage wanted originally, since he wanted a female Hyuga, but the Namikaze had told the man that Hyuga Neji, and with his seal disabled, will be able to give him his own Hyuga clan and Kumo much faster than with one female. "His teammates are going to be pissed at us," said Karo, as she was now up, and ready to fight despite soreness that ran through her body. "Neji cares little for them. It's sad really. His heart is too bitter to care about others that are outside of his own mindless needs, which will make his transition to Kumo all the more easier, and quicker when this is over, since it will stick it to main family he hates so much. Inform the Raikage that it's time for the invasion, Yugito-chan. You too, Haku-chan. Tell Zabuza to execute Order 66, said Naruto, as he smirked at the idea of taking a page out of his old Sith Master's playbook in terms of code words before a sneak attack, and use these exams against the Leaf like the Emperor had used the Clone Wars against the Republic to destroy it from the inside. It will be done, Naruto-kun, said Yugito and Haku before they glared at each other with them leaving to head to their respected cages. Are you prepared to do what needs to be done, Godmother? said Naruto, as he saw the woman close her eyes, and let out a heavy sigh. I am. I've seen the village my grandfather founded become corrupt and rotten from the inside. I know what I need to do for this, said Tsunade, as she saw Shizune nodding too, and knew that this place was not the Leaf Village they had once loved. Then I'll leave that to you. Come Kimimaro, the real battle has only now just begun, said Naruto, as an explosion was heard in the cage booth, and further down in different areas of the village. What about me, my brothers, and my sensei? Said Tamari, as she knew by now all Suna forces knew the truth, and would pull back without sound noticing. As I said before Tamari-chan, neither Mist nor Kumo will attack you, or your family unless you attack first. Fortunately, Jiraiya was able to examine Gaara's seal, and fix it so he will be able to sleep at night without problems. He will be ready to become Kazekage of Suna soon, as I have foreseen it, and when that happens I look forward to the day you visit to discuss an alliance with Mist, said Naruto, as he gave Tamari a wink, which had the end result of her blushing before she rushed off to get her siblings, and Sensei to get the hell out of the Leaf Village. It was Judgment Day for the Leaf. Omake morning of the Chunin exams. Kimimaro stood outside of Naruto's bedroom, as he had been standing there for a good 4 maybe 5 hours, and had been told not to come in no matter what by the blonde via the force. Kimimaro obeyed of course since he had no reason to disobey Naruto, nor was he going to even consider disobeying the blonde when it came to such an order. Hey Starkiller, said Amoe, as he walked over to the albino, and saw the young Mist Shinobi looking back at him before giving a simple nod. Hello Osmosis Amoe. How was you this morning? Said Kimimaro, as he saw still quite tired Kumo Shinobi had bags under his eyes, and saw he got very little sleep. Good. Though I had a bit of trouble sleeping last night, said Amoe, as he had heard noises, and other sounds before they suddenly ended like a soundproof jutsu had been put up. I see. How unfortunate for you. Hopefully, it won't stop you from performing to the best of your ability against Naruto-sama, said Kimimaro, as he saw Amoe nod his head, and then frown a bit when he saw Karo coming out of her room with bags under her eyes like him. Someone was partying too much last night, said Karo, as she cracked her neck, and then moved her upper body around to crack her back. No shit. Hey Starkiller, where are your teammates, and for that matter where the hell is Yugito? Said Amoe, as he realized everyone here for their 2 respected sides except for those 3. They are around, said Kimimaro, as he did not look back at the door behind him, and tried not to hint where it was the 3 were. Okay. Well, when you see them, tell those 3 Bekas we'll be waiting for them at the arena, and remind them not to be late, said Amoe, as he was oblivious to what was going on while Karo looked at the door, and then Kimimaro with narrowed eyes before she went with her teammate while muttering something about perverts and clans. It was solid 2 more hours later before the door behind the albino went click to signify it was now unlocked, and the door opened with the thick smell of sex spilling out into the hallway. Walking out with a glowing look on their faces was Nii Yugito, Momochi Haku, Sabaku no Tamari, Tsuchi Ken, Isis Tenten, Mitarashi Anko, and Hyuga Hinata before they gave a bow to Kimimaro moments prior to fleeing the area to take a nice shower in the privacy of their own home. Are you all right Naruto-sama? Said Kimimaro, as he saw Naruto walk out in a bathrobe, and had a smile on his face could have outshined the sun. Let's just say the force is now flowing through each girl right now and leave it at that, said Naruto, as he headed towards Kimimaro's room to take a shower there since the shower in his own room was only just recently labeled, out of order. Yes Naruto-sama, said Kimimaro, as he took a curious peek into the room before his whole body turned green and dived for the nearest trash can to vomit the contents of his stomach from the last couple of days. Force flowing through them or not, no room should have to look like that after a night of incredible stress-relieving sex, and without some kind of warning to the cleaning crew. Chapter 7 No Leaf Village for an Old Man. The invasion of the Leaf had begun. The plan that Naruto had created was coming to full fruition as Kumo and Mist forces overwhelmed the Leaf. It didn't matter that the Sound forces under the command of Orochimaru had invaded either, as they were caught in the crossfire, and then quickly decimated their ranks without mercy. Without Suna's support, the Sound forces stood little to no chance in hell of succeeding, and were nothing more than mindless animals being slaughtered. Naruto knew that all the civilians would be moved to secret locations within the Hokage monument, as they would safe there, and could wait out the invasion. Naruto himself had used the Hokage monument himself, as he had on more than one occasion when escaping villagers seeking out his blood found multiple places to hide and went in there, and served him well in memorizing every good spot there was with plenty of room to run should his hiding spot ever be discovered. As for the streets themselves, the Leaf forces were at the moment currently engaging allied forces, and temporarily holding their own though the ground was slowly giving. While this happened, the Namikaze headed towards one of the many sources of his pain that was Danzo, who was quickly leaving for his home guarded by his private security force that was once Root, and no doubt wait until smoke cleared to take what he felt would be his in the end once this was over. Naruto had no intention of letting the man live to see the sunset. When the old crippled war hawk got near his house, which was more of a mansion than anything, the blonde demon vessel used the force in mixture with the Rasengan that Jiraiya taught him during the 1 month to launch the ball out of his hands, and at the root shinobi that guarded him. The root shinobi that was hit took the attack directly in the skull and splattered brain tissue all over the place, with the second bodyguard now drawing his sword. You have no idea just how long I have waited for this moment since I learned the truth about what you did in killing my mother, said Naruto, as he appeared behind the two, and saw Danzo glaring at him with his one eye. Anyone who is not born in the leaf, and it is an abomination like yourself, is a threat to the leaf. If only that old fool had listened to me, the threat you possessed would have been removed, and made the village stronger by making you a weapon that could be controlled by me, said Danzo as he saw the blonde smile at him, and it made the old warhawk angry. Perhaps you should have let my mother live to raise me, instead of just killing her, and then convincing the old man to let the villagers attempt to beat me into submission. You made your fears come to life by setting in motion everything that would make it a reality in the first place. Killing my mother, denying my father's last wish, and then trying to set things up that would force me into submission just so I would one day to be your prized pet to fetch your slippers when your feet are cold under the Hokage's desk after you use me to overthrow the old man? When I was growing up in this place, I was a lot smarter than I let people think I was, so I could make them think I was not a threat, and only use my brains when they served the means of avoiding people that tried to hurt me. Before I was taken away from here, I knew that the only way to learn the truth was to take what I could, and give nothing back that wasn't worth giving. The instant I knew the truth of what happened to my family, which I promise you I would have regardless of what you would try, I had every intention of tearing this place to pieces, and nothing short of Kami coming down from the heavens themselves was going to stop me from taking what was mine. I made that little promise to myself years ago before my former masters, as they trained me to my fullest potential within the rules they themselves set, and became their prized weapon. You cannot believe the wonders I have seen, the places I have been to that make all your ambitions seem so meaningless, and make you realize just how much of an insignificant speck of life you are in the universe, said Naruto, as he saw Danzo look at him with anger, and hatred at his words, knowing they hurt his very pride down to the core. Insignificant speck? Me? How dare you? I am the greatest shinobi of all time. It is you, who is the insignificant speck when compared to me, and I will not stand by while you insult the future god of this world that will change it in the way only I can, said Danzo, as he removed the bandages on his face and arms to reveal Sharingan eyes that had been surgically attached to them. You think those eyes will help you? I'm not using the fox's power so much that I have to depend upon it like a drug, you fool. You think I am unaware of the Sharingan's power when it comes to the Kyuubi? The fox practically confessed to me how those eyes work in regards to his power, and I don't need it to exact my revenge, said Naruto, as he saw Danzo frowning, and saw his root army now behind with weapons at the ready. Even still, I have the power of my root shinobi here for support, and they will try to kill you long after you're dead, said Danzo, as he smirked at how he had the boy now, and was going to kill the brat before dissecting him for further power. Power? The quantity of your root shinobi being here in greater numbers is something that you believe is power? How wrong you are. I will show what true power is, and it's not something you can take by surgically attaching it to your body, said Naruto, as he grinned wickedly at Danzo, and called upon the power of the dark side within his body before channeling it into his eyes to use a skill known as Deadly Sight. It was in that moment, Danzo knew something was wrong, as he felt something, his face getting increasingly warm to the point where it felt like it was on fire, and he wasn't the only one. Around him, his root shinobi began to spasm in pain, and cry out before their faces started to burn. Danzo tried to retaliate with his Sharingan eyes, but found them to be unresponsive due to his face being destroyed, and death claiming him to take to the Shinigami for judgment. Ending the force technique that strained his force reserves, Naruto closed his eyes for a moment to let them rest, and then opened them to see the old war hawk had died along with the rest of his forces that were in his line of sight. Knowing that this was one down and several to go, the Namikaze head out to the location of the other two that were guilty of crimes against him so he could deliver their heads to the old Hokage. Right before he took that man's head too. Chonin Exam Stadium. At the moment, Kimimaro quickly cut through a no-named leaf shinobi with his blade before shooting several bone missiles from his left arm, hitting several Chonin from behind. Not far from him, Karu was taking down leaf shinobi that got in her way, as they were given a joint mission to help Kumo acquire a Hyuga to start a clan in the hidden village, and to learn the secrets of the Byakugan. Do you see the target? said Kimimaro, as he was now beside the female Kumo shinobi, and the two moved to kill an enemy aimed at the other's back. Yes. He's with his two teammate and Jounin sensei, said Kuro, as the two moved again in perfect synchronization, and cut down 3 more shinobi, each. We have 1 shot to grab the target. I have the anti-seal Naruto-sama had Jiraiya, but the Sannin make sure the target seal is negated upon being used. Once that is done, I will cover your escape, and give you time with your Jinan team to get back to Kumo, said Kimimaro, as those had been his orders, and the albino had every intention of fulfilling them down to the last letter. For her part, Kuro blushed slightly at his statement, as he had said it with such passion in his voice, and the intensity in his eyes told her that he would give his life if it meant to the success of her mission. I am ready. We must move as one, said Kaori, as she saw him nod, and the two moved forward with incredible speed towards one Hyuga Neji. Acting once more in perfect synchronization, Kimimaro kicked away Rock Lee. Kaori disarmed Ten of her sword before knocked the bun-haired girl into her sensei, and then the last Kaguya in the elemental countries got within Neji's personal space to hit the anti-seal tag after parting the headband that covered it. In that moment, Neji froze in the implication that someone had hit him, much less hit him right there of all places on his head, before Kuro came up behind him, and hit the Hyuga branch prodigy in the back of the neck that made him fall unconscious. With their prize now on Kimimaro's shoulders intact, Kuro let out a whistle noise to signify Amoe to follow her, and help get their prize out of the village long enough for the Kaguya to pass it on to her to be taken to Kumo. Ten, Lee, and Guy called out to Neji, even though it was pointless with their attempt to pursue being blocked by a wall of bone spikes shooting out of the ground behind Kimimaro that the Kaguya created to cut off any kind of pursuit. Moments later, the trio were struck by knockout gas, and darkness claimed their vision before mist shinobi scooped them up to depart from the village. In another part of the stadium, the same thing was happening to the other rookie Jinan teams, and throughout the village itself, with the various clans' homes being systematically targeted. Roof of the stadium at the moment, well, this is a surprise. 2 Kages are here with me to take on one old formerly retired one with a few of their shinobi to help. You can't even imagine how delightful this is for me right now, Sarutobi-sensei, said Orochimaru, as his sound 4 bodyguards made the barrier he created to keep them from being interrupted, and while it wasn't how things were supposed to be planned, the Sannin was not going to ignore the sheer luck. Don't assist Orochimaru in fighting me, Mizukage-sama. Reikage-sama. My traitorous student will strike you down when your back is turned, said the Sandaime, who saw the 3 facing him while Yugito and Haku were by their fellow Kage's side. We're not, said Zabuza, as he saw the Reikage turn around to face Orochimaru, and the Sannin's eyes widened before he found the much stronger man in front of him with his massive arm sticking out of his chest with lightning coming out of it. That attack looks like Kakashi's Rikiri. But, how? Thought the Sandaime, as he saw his traitorous student scream out in agony, and explode from the sheer intensity of the jutsu's electrical output now overloading the man's body. Well, I'll be. The Gaki was right about Hatake Kakashi's jutsu when he said it was perfect for someone with my lightning affinity, and my in-your-face fighting style, said the now smiling Reikage, as he saw Sound 4 bodyguards remove the barrier, and began to escape while they still could. Unfortunately, their escape attempt was soon thwarted by the quick efforts of Yugito, and Haku having killed 3 out of the 4, with the red-haired girl being put in a false death state by the senbon needles hitting her in the neck while the others were turned to ash. You are not going anywhere, said Haku, as she picked up the girl, and then took off with Yugito to drop the redhead off to the rendezvous point for those that were collected from the invasion. It's a shame the Gaki isn't here right now. I'm sure he would love to run the glowing red blade of his right through your senile ass, said Zabuza, as he saw the Sandaime was now in his battle armor, and summoned Enma before having the Monkey King turn into his adamantine staff form. Who says I can't be? Said Naruto, as he appeared before the 3 Kages, and threw a pair of heads onto the roof that belonged to the shinobi council members that were once Hiruzen's former teammates. Naruto, you need to stop this. You are taking this too personally, said the Sandaime, as he saw Naruto tilt his head in thought to his words, and then shake his head no to say he did not agree with that. Hardly. If I wanted to take this personally, I would have simply butchered everyone in the Leaf, and not set things in motion to make sure that the Leaf's potential is shared by others. For instance, Kumo will now have the Byakugan in their possession now that they have one Hyuga male, who is considered a prodigy, and will no doubt bring the Reikage here many strong Hyuga offspring for him to raise in a clan without the cage bird seal on their heads, said Naruto, as he saw the Reikage give him a thumbs up on that, and Zabuza smirking behind his bandages. Do you realize what you've done? Said the Sandaime, as he saw that Naruto didn't care, and was quite proud of it. Yes. I have killed Danzo, your teammates, made the fears of the Hyuga clan become real, and I'm taking the Leaf Village my father died for down piece by piece right before I kill you to make sure that justice is done for in the name of my family, said Naruto, as he now brought out both of his lightsabers, and prepared to destroy the old Hokage. Naruto, I'm sorry you lost so much, but everything that happened to you would have been worth it if you stayed, and proven you were not beneath their standards of honor, said the Sandaime, as he saw Naruto scowl at him, and knew he was hitting a sore subject with the blonde. Had I stayed, I would have been this village's punching bag, and it's not like you did a good job keeping them off of me, you old lying piece of shit. What right did you have in letting my mother's killer go free? What right did you have in letting this village hurt me the way it did and then have the Uchiha prick be treated like he's Kami's favorite son, all the while knowing full well just what his clan was up to when they wanted to take over Konoha? Said Naruto, as he saw the Sandaime scowl at him now, and the blonde knew this was not the same old man he once looked up to as a child before the truth was shown in front of him. I did what I had to do, Naruto. Danzo was better off being alive than dead because him being dead was not worth the backlash of information that would have gotten out. Your mother's death was a necessary evil to keep you here in Konoha, and if it means having you beaten within an inch of your life keep the Namikaze bloodline in Konoha, then I would have gladly thrown the first punch at your face myself, said the Sandaime, as he wasn't going to be the sweet old grandfather figure in front of Naruto anymore, and teach the blonde a lesson in going against a Hokage. I see. So that's how it is? Shame we had to end things this way, old man. Jiraiya and Tsunade do to since they helped train me during the month prior to today. You must be so proud knowing that your legacy in this world is that of failure, and doing anything that you did when you came out of retirement was wrong. Don't worry though, because you won't be going to hell alone, and I have every intention of having your grandson pay a visit to you shortly, said Naruto, as he smirked at Hiruzen, who looked at him in shock, and then snarled angrily at his words. You wouldn't dare. My grandson is innocent of all the evil I have done to you, said the Sandaime, as he saw Naruto raise an eyebrow, and give him a "Are you joking? Look at him. Just as I was innocent of all the evil Kyuubi had done? Why should I spare your ever so innocent grandson the same honor of being a punching bag that you bestowed upon me when I was far younger than him? We've come full circle in this, old man, and it's time you got the judgment you rightfully deserve in terms of suffering for being a traitor to my family, said Naruto, as he saw the Sandaime rush him, and try to take his head off with the staff. Not if I kill you first, said the Sandaime, as he began his duel with Naruto, and two began fighting it out with the adamantine staff barely holding its own against Naruto's lightsabers. You're so pathetic, old man. The second Hokage must have been desperate to name you his successor before he died, said Naruto, as he kicked the old man away after dodging a blow from the staff, and saw the Sandaime look at him now with pure hate. You think you've got everything figured out, Naruto? You don't know anything, said the infuriating Sandaime, as he tried to again hit Naruto, but the blonde was done fooling around with the old man, and had decided to end this dance of stupidity right now. I know enough, said Naruto coldly, as his eyes became yellowish like a sith before moving faster than anyone could see, and appeared behind the Sandaime with the man's legs cut off at the knees, causing the old cage to fall harshly with the loss of Enma in his hands. Sarutobi, said Enma, as he turned back into his monkey form, but was hit by a kick from Zabuza, so the Monkey King couldn't interfere, stop the summons from going to the Sandaime's aid, and went poof after falling right off the roof of the Chonin exam stadium. So this is how it ends. The god of shinobi is beaten by a mere child, and at the hands of the son of my late successor at that. It's almost funny actually. I always thought that it would be Orochimaru, who would be the one to do that, and kill me since he's plotted it for years, said the Sandaime, as he was now looking up at the crimson black-robed boy wielding those two glowing energy blades now crossed, and ready to take his head off should the blonde desire to do so with a flick of his wrists. His act of revenge was not justified. Mine is. At least when you go to hell, you won't be alone, and have plenty of people to keep you company, said Naruto, as he sliced the old cage's head off, and deactivated his lightsabers before picking it up off the ground. How does it feel? Said Zabuza, as he saw the blonde staring at the dead Hokage's head, and saw the far-off look on Naruto's face. Somewhat satisfying, but it still leaves much to be desired, and I think I know where to get it, said Naruto. Dropped the head onto the ground and used a fire jutsu to burn it along with the body. And where are you going to get it? Said Zabuza, as he saw Naruto's smile increase, and it was starting to send chills up his spine. It's simple really. The Sandaime's own grandson is going to be a new addition to the mist ranks, said Naruto, as he looked towards the Hokage monument, and pointed to the stone head of the Sandaime. That's cold, kid. I like it, said Zabuza, as he laughed at the idea of having the Sandaime Hokage's own grandson under his command in mist, and seeing the Sarutobi clan be an excellent addition to his village. You're alright, Gaki. I'm glad I signed that alliance with Mist, said the Raikage, as he felt alive for some reason that was beyond battle, and then leapt off to engage any other Leaf Shinobi that were putting up a fight. With that being said, Naruto along with Zabuza headed to the Hokage monument where the true spoils of war were held, and the power to make Mist truly a force to be reckoned with was located. Hokage monument. Sometime later Konohamaru was nervous, as he waited with the others in the Hokage monument's secret safe house area that was filled with civilians, and children from the academy, with some being from various shinobi families. From the sound of the intense fighting outside, this was the real thing that his parents and grandfather had always warned him about to take seriously. His two friends Moigi and Udon were both beside him, worried that something bad was happening with their teacher Mino. Iruka looking worried when he thought no one was looking at him. "Iruka-sensei, is everything okay?" said Udon, as he walked up to the teacher, and the man smiled at him even though the smile didn't reach his eyes. "Yes, it is, Udon." "Don't worry," said Iruka, as he thought it was best to comfort the boy, but deep down the man knew it wasn't the case, and feared for the boy's survival. "Indeed. Everything is all perfect," said Naruto, as he appeared before them, and Iruka instantly drew a kunai to defend the children. "Stay back. I won't let you hurt the children," said Iruka, as he saw Naruto smiling almost kindly at him, and then looking at the children in the room the man was watching. "Hurt them? I'm not a cruel person, Iruka-san. I don't hurt children. I came to see this one here to be the bringer of bad news," said Naruto, as he pointed to Konohamaru, and saw the fearful look in his eyes. "What do you mean? What happened to my grandfather?" said Konohamaru, as he saw Naruto give him a sympathetic look, and shook his head. "He's dead. Orochimaru tried to kill him and your grandfather sacrificed himself to kill his former student," lied Naruto, as he knew that the best way for Konohamaru to trust him was to believe that his grandfather died a hero, and make it sound like he was well respected for it. "No. You're lying. That's impossible. My grandfather is the Sandaime Hokage and is the strongest shinobi in the village," said Konohamaru, as he saw Naruto shake his head, and threw the metal headgear of the Sandaime battle armor in front of the boy. "I wish that was the case, my boy. However, such is the reality of war that brings death to those we hold dear, and there will always be casualties. Your village has lost, your leader is dead, and most of the people in the Leaf will not survive through the day," said Naruto, as he saw Iruka collapse to his knees, and stare at the helmet piece of the Sandaime before seeing the Konohamaru along with his friends start crying over the loss of such a great man. "What do we do?" said Moigi, as she was fearful of what was to become of her, and all of her friends. "You must join me, little one. All of you must join me in Mist. There, you will find a new future, and happiness that is no longer here in the Leaf," said Naruto, as he gave them all a gentle smile, and saw the kids looking nervously at him while Iruka was too stunned to say anything to break the hold the blonde had on them. "And you can train us to be shinobi?" said Konohamaru, as he saw Naruto nod his head yes, and felt safe around the older boy for some reason. "Yes, I can. Though the way Mist teaches is much different the Leaf's way and it won't be easy," said Naruto, as he saw the children nod in understanding, and made a hand motion before Haku appeared before him via ice mirror that got a lot of looks of awe from the kids. "Yes, Naruto-sama," said Haku, with her masked face not being revealed to the kids. "These children wish to join our ranks to become strong. Please, be discreet and make sure to escort them to safety away from the fighting," said Naruto, as he used the force to soothe the children's fears that plagued their minds, and let them believe they were now in safe hands. All that was left was Iruka, who soon snapped out of his daze, and then glared at Naruto before rising to his feet again. "You lied to those kids. The Sandaime didn't die killing Orochimaru. It was you. You are the one who killed the Hokage," said Iruka, as he saw Naruto look at him with crimson eyes, and made the Chonin nervous. "And what if I did? If they had learned the truth just now, then I would have no choice but to summon some Mist Anbu to kill them all, and I don't want to give such an order to kill innocent children. I gave them a lie they could believe in so they could continue living their lives without complications. I hold no ill intent aimed towards the Sandaime's only grandson, if that is what you are thinking, as I only want the boy to grow up strong, and from what I've seen that hasn't been the case with the boy being in the shadow of his grandfather," said Naruto, as he saw Iruka clench his teeth, and got ready to fight him with the kunai in hand. "Bastard," said Iruka, as he was about to charge Naruto when a blade came out of the man's stomach with Kimimaro being its wielder after sneaking through the shadows of the already dark room to slay the man. "Blame the Sandaime for this, Iruka-san. It was because of him that I came to hate the Leaf in the first place," said Naruto, as he looked at Kimimaro, and then nodded his head to signify for the albino to end it. In an instant, The Kaguya pulled his blade out, and then beheaded the Chonin quickly to keep the pain to a minimum. Everything is proceeding as planned, Naruto-sama, said Kimimaro as he saw Naruto nod, and motioned him to follow. Of course, my friend. Soon, we will have what we all desire, and then some when this is over, said Naruto, as he walked through the shadows of the corridors within the Hokage monument, and knew that the time of the leaf was over. Now it was the time of the mist and the future shinobi trinity he had foreseen that would revolutionize the shinobi world throughout the elemental countries. Mitarashi Anko is nearly finished setting up the explosives all over the village. I think she is enjoying the mission a little too much though, said Kimimaro, as he saw Anko the other day secretly marking places with explosives, and had a strange glint in her eyes that spoke of pure enjoyment in this. Of course she would feel joy from this. Anko learned of their true intentions towards her in the distant future. Once we learn the truth about who our real enemies are from those that we thought we could trust, only then do we realize just who the true enemy is in our lives, said Naruto, as he had revealed to Anko what the leaf had planned for her during the 1-month wait for the Chunin exam finals, and the special Jounin was none too pleased. Apparently, Danzo wanted to use Anko for his special projects division, which was like Orochimaru's lab, but wasn't labeled knowing how it would sound, and wished to study the special Jounin's untouched seal. That was the official record of the council's proceedings on the matter, but the unofficial records that Naruto found in Danzo's home in an underground section revealed that the man intended to experiment with Anko's seal in a way where it could be modified to the point where its power would pass on to her very offspring. Then came the second part of the project, which Anko had read with the Hokage's seal on it at the bottom, and made her say screw the leaf before saying hello mist. Danzo was a man who was not unlike Orochimaru, and obsessed with his own mortality due to his old age. That being the case, after Anko was restrained, tamed, and became his ever so obedient servant, he was going to take her to his bed to impregnate her with his future offspring to pass down all that he was to mix with Anko's curse seal power. The fact the Sandaime approved of it for whatever reason he did, which was no excuse in Naruto's opinion, was all the more icing on the cake needed to bring Anko to his side, and give her a chance for a new life where people wouldn't hate her for being Orochimaru's former apprentice. So with that being revealed, Anko agreed to help him burn the leaf to the ground, shook his hand to their new partnership, and then kissed him right on the lips to signify she wanted more at a later time before walking off with a sway in her hips that he could see despite the trench coat. When do you want the explosives to go off, Naruto-sama? Said Kimimaro, as he knew that after everything of value that wasn't nailed down was taken from the leaf, then the fireworks would begin, and all leaf would be nothing more than a memory. When the time is right, Kimimaro. Don't worry. All of the explosives Anko placed have seals on them of my own design that will activate in connection to the starter seal I placed a safe distance away that requires my chakra while mixed with Kyuubi's in order to start the process. Did the transportation seals get placed on the Aburame, Inuzuka, Yamanaka, Nara, and Akimichi clan homes among the various other few places I mentioned? Said Naruto, as he knew that those were vital for being transported to Mist, and was going to do it in his own way. Yes. Though I must admit the seals placed on them appear to not activate using chakra. Is it from your other power? Said Kimimaro, as he knew that Naruto force was not something to scoff at, and seemed to hold infinite possibilities. Yes. Nothing is impossible with the force. Chakra, I'm sad to say, has its limits, which is why shinobi compensate by using other arts like sealing, summoning, and weapons to handle its limitations. However, the force does not have such limits, and can do many incredible things when you focus on what you want to use that power for. Even with my own power, I have the skill of a young apprentice Kimimaro, and have a long way to go before I have reached the title of master in understanding the infinite wisdom the force possesses, said Naruto, knowing that while his strength in the force was at knight level if not rivaling that of a master, his knowledge of it was apprentice level, and he still had much to learn. Still, such a use of its power on such a scale will no doubt put a strain on your person, Naruto-sama, aid Kimimaro, as he saw Naruto nod his head, and saw the grim look on the blonde's face. Indeed it will. So keep a sharp eye out for anyone that wishes to get in a shot at me during my moment of being weakened, said Naruto, as he along with his albino friend made their way to the outskirts of Konoha, and the blonde sitting on the ground on his knees in a meditative state. Be careful. One small fraction of an error in doing this and it could kill you, said Kyuubi, as he saw Naruto call upon the force, and prepare to use its awesome power. Naruto didn't answer, as he called upon all of his strength within the force, and used its power to reach out to each of the sealed buildings within the leaf. It wasn't easy, as it had strained Naruto's concentration right away, and focusing on the image of mist before picturing where these places would be relocated wasn't helping either. Even now, the blonde could feel his nose bleeding, the pounding headache, and the unimaginable pain his body was receiving from this. Still, Naruto was not one to simply stop something due to the feeling of pain no matter how strong the feeling was, as he was no stranger to it, and pressed further with the seals activating around the marked buildings. One moment, the buildings were there, and the next, they were gone. A few minutes later, Naruto collapsed onto the ground, and struggling to stay within the realm of consciousness while Shikamaru called for Tsunade to heal him. "I don't know whether to punch you or kiss your forehead knowing that you're still alive," said Tsunade, as she worked on healing Naruto, and saw the boy was resisting the urge to shrug his shoulders. "Regardless, I'm sure either one would numb the pain I'm in, and actually feel better than I do now," said Naruto, as he felt like his body was drained of life, and decided to rest a little longer while Tsunade patched him up. "I just got a full report from our forces, Naruto-sama. Kumo has pulled out, having gotten their fair share of the spoils in terms of jutsu scrolls, various training techniques, and a few various other exercises they could use. We have most of the various members of each of the clans restrained and are being taken back to Mist, though we lost a few of them due to the fighting during the Allied invasion," said Shikamaru, with Naruto nodding his head in understanding. "And the 2 people I requested be taken alive and unharmed?" said Naruto, since there were a few others worth sparing. "The ramen chef and his daughter were recovered with little effort," said Shikamaru, as he saw Naruto nod his head, and the blonde smiled knowing they were safe. "Excellent. And what of those that deserve to die within the leaf?" said Naruto before he got off the ground and heading towards the seal marker after thanking his godmother for healing him. "All of those that weren't killed have been restrained in the stadium per your orders," said Shikamaru, as he knew what Naruto had in mind, and it was going to quite an event. "Good. It's time to close the book on the last chapter of the leaf," said Naruto, as walked over to the seal marker, wired hundreds if not thousands of explosives all over Konoha, and sat down in a more calm version of meditation before calling on the force again despite the drain. Fortunately, the use of force projection didn't require too much of what he had left, and let the cosmic energy fill his body once more. Konoha Stadium. At the moment, the people in Konoha, who came to watch the Chunin exams, which mostly consisted of civilians, were terrified the moment they woke up in their seats, and saw the stadium was in ruin. Some of the people in the stadium were dead from the battle, but had yet to be removed, so panic was the natural course of action at seeing death and destruction all around them. "What happened?" said one person before screaming at the sight of the dead leaf shinobi at his feet. "I can't move," yelled one person, as he struggled, and the person next to him was doing the same. "People of Konoha, shut the hell up," said the projected voice Naruto, which got the intended result, as he created a projection of himself in the middle of the stadium, and made sure that everyone was paying attention to him. And they were. "You filthy demon. You betrayed the village," said someone amongst the crowd, and it was clear that everyone was sharing the same thought in that regard. It's funny how things change, yet still remain very much the same, and seeing this is no exception. How pathetic you all have become in my absence. Your Hokage is dead, your shinobi, who will defend you, are either dead, and or now in my custody after learning some particular truths about the leaf. No one will fight for you, no one will die for you, and those that are in charge that you think will are now dead. Your arrogance has come to destroy you, and I am the form of your destroyer. Maybe in the next life, should you all have one, of course, you won't be so arrogant and hate-filled towards someone with no control over what happened to them. Goodbye, so long, and good riddance to rubbish like yourselves," said Naruto, as he then vanished from their sight, and their cries to be set free from their bindings. "Back with Naruto, arrogant until the end?" said Shikamaru, seeing the look on disappointed look that was on Naruto's face. "Yes. Even now they curse me, demanding I set them free, and wishing to be treated like they are royalty. Not that it will matter anymore after today," said Naruto, as he used his chakra while mixing cubies into his hand, and putting on the seal marker in front of him before watching it travel into the leaf village. As it traveled through the leaf, various buildings exploded in rows one after another, and it was all leading up to the stadium that had the largest amount of explosives attached to it. The second largest was the Hokage monument. "It's quite the sight, isn't it, Naruto-kun?" said Anko, as she walked up behind Naruto, and leaned down so her breasts were now pressing up against him. "Indeed it is," said Naruto, as he knew that Anko was trying to seduce him, and wished to show some kind of appreciation for setting her free. They could talk about it later in Mist, provided Haku didn't try to kill Anko first. Thank you for listening, and remember the disrespect is real. Goodbye.